Philip McKenzie.
I know that Amy and Philip are like 20 minutes away.
Who? What's that?
Amy and Philip are like 20 minutes, so they're just in traffic.
Okay,
So is Charlotte.
beautiful. Jody Cole.
Here.
Kathy Glass. Kathleen Stokes.
Here.
Sean Jones.
He's also, he's with them, they're all together.
Renee Price. Elizabeth Miller. What's that? Okay. Jeff Adams. Jeffrey Adams. John Hong. Bob Townsend. John Wilford.
Here. Bob's not on.
Here. He needs to bring it up. Brooke Bailey Army.
Here.
Ada Gonzalez.
Here.
Lee Sharp.
Here.
Stephen Haskett. Ted Brown.
Here.
Alan Smith.
Here.
I'm sorry about this name. Sean Trozicek.
Here.
Project, thank you.
Here.
Michael Dooley.
Here.
Kyle Russell.
Here.
Chris Clements.
Yo.
Elliot Sherman.
Here.
Janae Law.
Here.
Andrew Arling.
Here.
Paul Dar.
Present.
Anthony Valdeva. Adam Ray. Nathan Garza.
Here.
Nolan Schmidt.
Here.
Rick Hubbard.
Here.
Paul Kiefer. Tommy Adaway.
Here, let me know.
Who?
Yep, sorry, these are my official officer. Joseph Roberts.
Here.
Eugene Flynn. Nancy Neal. Joe Burns.
Here.
Timothy Martinez. Michael Hanson.
Here.
Sean Huckabee.
Here.
Arthur Thomas. Frank Lozano. Nathan Peer.
Here.
Christopher Robinson. Teresa Ragel. Okay. Ronald Cook. Jack Westbrook. Colby Mice.
Here.
Macy, thank you. That's it. Oh, well, and of course, Whitney Dillier. Becca Condon. Kate Prather. Here. I'm not here. Anyways. All right. Anybody did I miss?
Alright, so, since we elected not to count absences at our, post-convention select meeting, and we only had one person who wasn't actually there participating, we don't have any drop-offs. The composition of select meetings is anywhere. With one exception. Alright, so, I decided that for this term, I'm gonna build in 10 minutes at the beginning and 10 minutes at the end of every select meeting for public comment. That's for the people who are in the gallery, who may travel long distances to come see what we're doing here, and might have things to share, or words of encouragement, which we don't like very much. And so we're gonna do that for the first time ever, right now. So if anybody who's not expecting or participating, if you'd like to say, or share, or ask.
Sure.
Now is the time.
Hi, everyone. Luke Troxel. You want me to come to the front so everyone please raise their neck? Or, yeah, right. Fantastic. So, I'm not great at this, by the way. Hi, everyone. Luke Troxel. I'm sure lots of you have seen me being the obnoxious person who listens to county share conversations. I came up here today because I think that it's important for anybody who's going to be a part of leadership to be at the leadership conference. And noticing today we had a few people missing. I'm sure there are good, legitimate reasons for why they're not here. But if people who come out here today who aren't part of SLEC to be a part of this party can make it, we knew this date well in advance. And I hope that every single person has a good reason to not be here that wasn't foreplanned. But for something that joining the Libertarian Party and actually becoming an active member in the party, I plan on being in every single one of these, even if I'm not a SLEC member, because I want to see the party grow. And outside of sickness or my vehicle breaking down on the way, I will be here. And I expect that out of all my SLEC members. I expect that out of all my leaders, even if they're not a SLEC member, because SLEC is limited to people per district. So I've never been to a SLEC meeting before. I'm going to be learning a lot today. I hope you all have a lot to teach me today. I hope. But I wanted to, as I'm showing up to ask all of you, I wanted to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing from what I've been told SLEC members are supposed to be doing. How many people here met with their county chairs before they came to this meeting to talk about the business that we're going to be discussing today? I shout at every day. Sure. From what I understand, that is probably one of the most important aspects of being SLEC member, is being a representative of your constituents. And I encourage you, if you do not do that, that needs to become a habit if we want to create a culture of success. I don't know if any of y'all saw Spike Cohen's video that he put out, I believe, yesterday, late at night. But he was right when he said, we have to build a culture of success if we want to win. We cannot appreciate losing well. And there's been too long a time in the Libertarian Party where we think that losing well is something that's acceptable. We are a professional organization. We are a political party. Our goal is to get people elected. And the only way we get people elected is if we treat this with this level of seriousness that any other professional would treat their job. I want to win elections because one day I will run for president of the United States. And I hope I have all your vote when I do so. So, I ask you today, and for every SLEC meeting going forward, treat it with a level of seriousness that you would treat it as if your job is all up. Come forth ready to make things happen, to move the dial forward, and for us to win elections in 2022. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Yeah. Done. Yes, and do us a favor for the record and say your name and what county you're in.
Chambers County, by the way.
Thank you.
Don Andy, Chair of Tarrant County LP. So I want to echo a little bit what was said about being able to engage with SLEC, being able to engage with county chairs. Even though I am not a SLEC member, as being county chair, I felt that I was going to need to be responsible and come to any SLEC meeting that I'm able to make my way to, because we are affiliates of the larger state party, which means that what happens in the state party, these are our tools. These are the things that we need to use to be able to get organized and make a difference happen in the counties that we have. And so I will pledge that whenever I am able, I will also be coming to every SLEC meeting that you guys can meet. I also wanted to give a thanks to the state party. In Tarrant County, we actually had a very tumultuous, much more so than the rest of the state, tumultuous activity with respect to the counting of ballots in our election. We actually had a printing problem that caused over 30% of all the mail-in ballots that came into the county office to be rejected because they had smudges, which is why they couldn't detect a barcode. We have, in Tarrant County, volunteers that work alongside the Republicans and the Democrats to actually validate and make sure that these ballots are legitimate. With this happening, we sent a call out and said, hey, we need additional volunteers, additional help, and we were present at the meeting where they were attempting to figure out how to scale up the manpower. I'm happy to report that all of those effective mail-in ballots are now processed. Our LP members were at the table doing the validation side by side with the parties, and we were considered respectful. We were considered participants, the people in the Tarrant County elections call LPs unicorns, because we actually make things fair, where the people that show up and don't just sit there and throw punches all day long. So, well, I also want to thank the state party, because we had, we needed to have some help getting this extra representation. We were brought in extra volunteers to come in and make sure that some of them had to be cleared. And in the middle of the night, in the dark of night, the election center called the Republicans and Democrats and said, hey, we need help, send more people, we will clear them. We were never called. We showed up the next day, after we heard on the news that all of a sudden active people were at it, and said, why didn't anybody call us? We've been here on the ground with everybody counting ballots every single day. We can bring in more people too. I got, after getting heartfelt apologies, which probably were genuinely heartfelt from the election staff, they then proceeded to say, well, we don't know if we can legally add these people to the list. And so, contacted and kept in touch with the state party, with Whitney, with Jared LeBlanc, our legal counsel. We worked on this, and we got in these conversations. We started talking with their attorneys and asking, why aren't we being allowed in the room? And so, as these things get processed, as it was becoming increasingly clear that the Republicans didn't care about it at all because they weren't really showing up, we were at it. They met to be, our people were at it, vetted, and we had people to sit at the table. So I would like to very much thank the state party, thank them for coming in, helping out so that we can actually get these votes and get these votes counted. One of our SLEC members, Liz Miller, was the one sitting at the table. She cannot be with you here today because she was exhausted from doing days and nights of counting ballots to make sure that we had a fair election with transparency and integrity. So I want to thank Liz Miller in absentia here for all of her hard work, and hope that you guys, don't see this as her just not showing up, but as being exhausted and trying to get some sleep after a long week of counting ballots. So in conclusion, I'd like to say thank you guys for hearing me. We're going to continue to be there, sit at the forefront. Our names were heard. We were actually on, listed side by side on court papers with both of the parties. Therefore, the systems and laws in power actually acknowledge our existence in a meaningful way, and not just in a, hey, we're going to argue to get on the ballot every single time. But that we're here helping, we're here making sure that we not only want to win elections, we want to make sure we count the ballots that we win. So thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your meeting. Thank you for listening. Absolutely.
Anybody else? The time on this item is over, is it not?
20 seconds left.
20 seconds.
I've got 10 seconds on you. Randy, Super Communications Director. If you're a select member or county chair and your photograph is not on our LP Texas website, which is a lot of you, please come find me at the first break and we can a shot and make you look as beautiful as possible, which is probably going to work for most of you. I'll be back to the meeting. We'll make sure we get this
Hey everyone, if you are registered for tonight's event, the Joe Jorgensen event, you're going to need one of these wonderful Wonder Woman slap bracelets to get in. So if you would like to pre-check in for tonight, we're going to see Janae now. If you're on the guest list, you'll get a bracelet. Not right now. Just at some point today. And then if not, if you haven't pre-checked in, then you'll have to do it at the door with the bouncer. So, Janae's a lot more fun. She's going to get back to
All right, so moving on. We are now at, yes.
I would move to
Oh, thank you. It has been moved as was posted a week ago.
that.
Second.
do me a favor and do your first and last names before you make a motion. I know you have them, so you're fine, but some, as I'm learning, you're fine.
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Is it possible to put the agenda in large print up on the screen so we can see what we're voting on?
Yeah.
And really large, if you could, so we can find it.
Kathleen, again, is it the 2021 proposed budget, or are you asking about the 2020 current budget for the treasurer's board discussion? I think the 2021 proposed budget. Yeah. Okay. How's that?
That's very good.
Yes.
What?
Where should it go?
She hasn't said.
Oh.
Should do it first. That's the first thing I would do.
Point one.
I don't know if it's gonna be, you need it bigger than that.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. So scroll up so that it's where it is.
It's also available on the form.
Correct, it is posted in the forum, so. Is it a point of order or request for information?
I think it's a point of order, right? I definitely need some information. Moved and seconded to adopt the agenda, and then there's an objection to the document.
There was not an objection, she had an amendment. She moved to amend, so the agenda is on the table.
And then, okay, gotcha.
And right now, we have a motion to amend it.
That's not
Okay, it's
request for
not-
information.
Should I have styled that as a point of order or request for information?
Request for
Thank you.
information.
John's got some.
The motion to amend the budget dies for lack of second. All right, so any objection to adopting the agenda as proposed, as on the screen? All right, the agenda is adopted. Yes.
I know it's on the last thing on the agenda, there's a reason for that. So if we can make everything else just run smoothly until we get there, we will get there, it will happen. But we just need everybody's cooperation so we stick to the agenda. It will get there, and there's a reason why it's dead last on the agenda, okay? Promise, we're taking care of you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is to approve the previous meeting's minutes.
So moved.
Those are, second by whom?
Michael Hanson, so moved.
John, you second?
Yeah.
Who's second? Mike.
John will third.
Point of information,
Request.
do you want seconders to stick their name? I know that's not usually required on minutes to be kept.
I prefer it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just seconders can, I mean, I can try to help her with that. So for those kind of things, you don't have to, I'll try to be mindful of that.
You seconded it.
What?
You seconded it.
This is 2 meetings.
No, we're just doing it for the first meeting.
All right, so there's been a motion to adopt and approve the previous meeting's minutes, and it was seconded. Any objection to the previous meeting's minutes? There you go. All right, so we are ahead of schedule right now. We have the Libertarian National Committee's special counsel, Oliver Hall, is slated to talk to us at 9:50 today, which is 10:50 this time because he's in DC.
What's the name of this?
I wanted to do it before I left.
When you look amazing.
Thank you. Please, You're already.
When you want to call me to test it?
Immediately tell them they're not speaking.
Yeah.
Oliver?
Yes.
Hi, it's Whitney, and we have all one here on speaker, so.
Great. Hi, everyone.
All right, so you just want to go ahead and start talking, and if you want to ask questions, you can say that after.
Sure, yeah, I do. Good morning. Whitney asked me to speak to the committee just to provide an update on our pending litigation. Because this is, I believe, not an executive session, I'm going to keep my comments to a kind of a general update and not discuss anything confidential relating to legal strategy or those types of questions, but I can give a general update on the status of the case. Mainly what has happened in the last few months is that the deadlines in this case have been extended as a result of the COVID pandemic, and that was something that courts nationwide were doing just as a matter of general order in many cases, simply because, well, due to all the complications involved in the pandemic and shutdown orders and the restrictions on travel and that sort of thing, it's difficult to collect the evidence testimony and evidence relating to the Texas electoral scheme and the ways in which it falls short of what you would want to see in a sort of ideal democratic setting. So we're working on that. Following the submission of the expert report to opposing counsel on the January 26th deadline, we will then be focusing on compiling the rest of the evidence that we've been working on in this case. And as I've discussed before, we really are building a robust evidentiary record, both chronologically, in other words, including the history of Texas elections, and then also just comprehensive in the sense that it covers pretty much all participants and all affected stakeholders. So we really have a ton of evidence in this case. We think we're going to need it, but we're going to produce a very strong, robust evidentiary record. And the purpose of that is to support the motion for summary judgment that we will file. And the deadline for doing that after the close of discovery on May 3rd, 2021 is May 31st, 2021. That's when our motion for summary judgment is due. And the motion for summary judgment, in short, is a motion that asks the court on the basis of all facts and evidence in the record to rule as a matter of law in our favor, because the relevant facts and evidence are undisputed and they demonstrate that the provisions that we're challenging are unconstitutional. And typically that is the step at which these cases are resolved. In other words, courts usually decide ballot access cases on motions for summary judgment. And that would be the last step in the case, unless there's an appeal by whichever side that loses. The court has set a trial date, a bench trial, meaning a trial before the judge rather than a jury. And the date for doing that is September 7th, 2021. But that would only happen if the court doesn't rule, doesn't decide that summary judgment is appropriate for one side or the other. And as I say, I think that's how this case will be resolved. So I don't anticipate that we will have a bench trial at all. We'll just rule on summary judgment motions, and then most likely one side or the other will file an appeal to the Fifth Circuit. As you can see, the timeline that we're working with now puts us, I think, on track to obtain relief in time for the 2022 election cycle. Once we file the motions for summary judgment on May 31st, if anyone can guess how long the court will take to rule on them, but certainly a few months, 6 months, I think would be a very long time. So we could anticipate some kind of judgment in the case, I think, in summertime or fall of 2021. I think that's all I wanted to say about the general update on the status of the case. I am happy to answer any questions anyone may have, but with the caveat that I would not want to discuss anything confidential unless we're in executive session.
Oliver, can you do me a favor real quick and just tell us the court and the docket number for some of our members who are new, who have not been following previously?
Yes. The case is filed in Federal District Court in Austin, so that's the Western District of Texas, the Austin Division, and the case number is 1:19-CB-00700.
Thank you. If anybody has any questions for Oliver, I just want to reiterate, especially for those of you who are new, that this is the federal lawsuit that we've been dealing with for a while now. This was the one that was related originally to our ballot access threshold, all of that kind of stuff. It is separate from the two that, well, 6 now, that we have been dealing with specifically in Texas for the last 10 years. So I just want to clarify that for anybody who's new. Are there any questions?
Sorry, that's a good point. I didn't realize
give you an idea of what's been happening since I took office on August 2nd. Obviously, almost immediately, we were sued by many Republicans, organizations, and candidates, and I think it was 4 lawsuits that came in over a period of 2 days, directed at me. A couple of them also took in our capacity as officers of the organization, trying to force us to basically remove half of our candidates off the ballots in Texas. And I know that some of you are familiar with this, just bear with me. But I basically said no thanks, and my candidates agreed. So we pushed on it, and we were very, very fortunate to wind up. I mean, I spent 72 hours sitting on the phone with lawyers all over the state on the weekend. This was on the weekend, and I was very fortunate to have some that would actually talk to me. But none of them were willing to sign on because they weren't specialists in election law, or didn't have this particular experience, or they represented Republicans before and just couldn't qualify themselves to work with us. So anyway, somehow I got the name of Jerry LeBlanc, and I got that name through our female who I guess is here today. And the rest is history. And we smacked down all of these lawsuits. They regrouped. The Third Court of Appeals group bundled the ones that they had filed into basically a no. And then they regrouped and filed in the Texas Supreme Court, where we also prevailed again. So at this point, we were able to get all 8 of our candidates to still be on the ballot. And some of you really good showings down ballot. We had more people this time coming to start than I've seen in recent cycles. So it was good that we were all on there. And it gave a lot of people a lot of choices they wouldn't have had otherwise. So that worked out really well. Of course, that means that the Republicans are not really happy, and it appears that they did maintain the control of the state house. So we're not done. They will probably continue coming after us, we expected, both legislatively and in the courts. So we're just going to have to keep pushing on that, and we're very fortunate also to have legal counsel who is willing to stand by us and do what we need within the confines of our resources at this time. So, we have, as you know, I did kind of make some adjustments to our organizational chart and some stuff. We had, there was some confusion about what positions we actually had people in and what the titles were and things like that. So I tried to make the actual work chart align with what was in practice and also what is practical for our organization. It still needs a lot of work, but you'll see later on what those changes were, and we'll just get those basically ratified later today. But just know that there is going to be some more shifting and restructuring of our organization internally, because what we need to be focusing on is what are the tasks that need to be completed on a daily basis, what do we need to be cranking out every day, what do we need to be doing to keep the wheels turning, and the way our work chart is currently structured doesn't necessarily gel with what we're doing. So just be mindful of that. We have some positions that we're trying to fill, and I did get a couple of them. We brought on a webmaster, county coordinator, what else? A couple county sheriffs.
Yes.
So we're doing a lot of that. And a lot of that has fallen on my shoulders and on the officers too, because we don't have directors in all of these departments that would normally be helping us do interviews. So these ladies are here and doing most of the interviews. Well, we haven't had 3 people do interviews, but they've been helping almost on everyone. So I really appreciate you guys for helping with that. Just speaking in agency media, obviously, our campaign is second to. Yes?
Is there a reason that other SLEC members cannot do?
They can. They can.
Okay.
So a county coordinator he will reach out to, when he's like trying to interview a county chair, a temporary county chair, he'll reach out to SLEC members. And I think he's trying to do it so that it's whatever county is in the Senate district, like the Senate district rep. So yes, as that happens, SLEC members can do it. And if you're interested in doing that, you can always let Nathan Watts know, just so not everybody is able to do it. Again, just let Nathan Watts know. Speaking of agency media, I was able to speak at one here in Austin, and then one of Spike's rallies in Conroe, and then I attended another one of Spike's rallies. The one in Conroe actually was the first time I got to meet Spike, so that was very cool. So I've been out there representing Open Texas in that capacity, speaking where I can. Tons of media inquiries related to our lawsuit, of course. Ours, the one where we were sued, that just so top. So I was able to get a lot of quotes and presence in, around the state on that. I committed, as I said before, that I haven't been able to accept every single invitation to go visit counties so far, mostly because of the election stuff that we're dealing with. But moving forward, I'm committed. If anybody wants me to come to their events in their counties, please let me know. I'm happy to do that if it's at all possible. And one of my other goals is to cultivate a media list. I actually do have my hands on two media lists that are statewide. One is not good at all, but I can, pull out the good parts. And then the other one is much, much better, but it's still probably only about 50% legit. So that is something that I do want to work on, that I'm trying to put together. But I'm going to ask counties. This needs to be a bottom-up effort. Because counties, you guys are the ones that have maybe close connections with local media, even if it's just a reporter who, calls you once in a while when if you're a candidate, you need to be compiling those lists of contacts, and then we can put them in a form accessible to the state party so that we can send out like statewide blasts and stuff. So if you guys at the county level and the local level have media contacts, please share those with us so that we can get them in our list and make sure that it's accurate, so that we're sending stuff out, it's not getting bounced back or ignored. Yes?
Just want to let you know that the Texas for Good Tourism campaign is 2 months into like a 6 months subscription to a statewide media list. We'll talk more about that later.
Okay, thank you. Yes. All right, some election-related things. Donovan, thank you. He already spoke about one of the things that I was going to say that we've been doing. Donovan, I don't know if you said this or not, but we only became aware of this particular mail-in ballot issue in one county out of 254. And so there's really no telling what kind of shenanigans were going on in other counties with regard to mail-in ballots. But we were very fortunate to at least get some insight into one of them, and a big one, that really mattered. And I'm just very, very grateful to the team, Renee and Donovan and Liz and everybody up there, and your wife, Donovan, who put in so much work, even through election night and after, to make sure this was done properly. And just the level of communication and professionalism that I got to witness, on a Zoom call with their ballot board and their attorneys and the Republican Party chairman, and all of that. It was just we're a class act, guys, and I'm really proud to be able to work with all of you. So that was a really cool thing. And then the only other analytics election theme, besides the elections themselves, that we did, I guess, was we were able to file an amicus brief and get on the record with regards to the Harris County drive-through ballot controversy, where the Republicans were trying to get 130,000 votes thrown out, basically because they did it through drive-through. So we were able to file an amicus brief there, and we were the only ones pointing out that ballot access is also an issue in that. It's not just voter suppression, it's not just voting rights, it's also ballot access. So we were able to file an amicus brief that also pointed that out. And we were not alone. I mean, people from even Republicans were filing amicus briefs in favor of keeping those votes. But nobody was talking about convention parties. So we were able to do that. So that was really cool. So we're getting out there. People are aware of us now. We can't back down. Looking ahead, I think one of my goals is I think that I want to make sure that we're planning ahead for our SLEC meetings, being efficient with that, increasing the chances that more people can participate with advance notice and things like that. We already talked about the org structure. The other two things that I really am concerned about is, as I mentioned, we're going to have some challenges legislatively. And I know that we have a political action department, but what we really need is people who can be from January to May in Austin, like really paying attention, constantly aware, signing up for bulletin boards and may be impacting us. And we really need to be more vigilant about that and be taking more, and be more proactive in defensive when we see things popping up, because we got sucker punched twice last time, and that should not have happened. So we need a robust, like, legislative awareness team, and it needs to be agile and responsive when we start to see things come up. We may want to consider writing some legislation. So just keep that in mind. That's going to be something that I try to coordinate moving forward, and hopefully by our next meeting, I'll have maybe a plan. The other thing that I want to do is have a legal advisory team. I don't want it to be a committee, and I don't want it to be a department. I think that for the purposes of like what we just did, the officers had to be very, very responsive and make decisions about whether or not we were going to move forward on things, and ultimately we had to choice. We had to move forward, and we were able to do it, and it worked out fine. But we can't keep doing that. We can't keep making decisions where it's just like just the officers. So what I want, and I can't be the one monitoring all the lawsuits either. So what I would like to have, and I think I've already put this out, I think I ran on this a little bit and have had small conversations with people about it. But just some sort of advisory team that really serves to look at legislation that's coming, look at laws, look at things that are popping up that we need to be aware of or be prepared to defend against if they come. I mean, some of that could be elections that somebody decides to challenge right now. You know, if we impacted an election, which we did, lots of them. Somebody may decide to sue us over that. You know, so we just want to have some lawyers, maybe our own, and people who are just really good at monitoring all that and have a lot of experience in it with election law, and people that can advise us on things we need to be aware of, action we should take, and also knowing when we should or shouldn't respond. That's another important thing. You know, whether or not we should put our resources into every single thing. And I'm not able to make all those decisions myself. So, but again, no official action needs to be taken by this body today on that. I just want you to be aware that that's something that I am mindful of and that I'm going to be looking to do. I'm sure there were more things, but I'm going to stop there. So if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just sort of curious, if we were to draft legislation, and this may be a lack of familiarity with the process on my part, but normally you would have to have somebody in the Texas House or Texas Senate to be elected. So do we have people that are, say, sympathetic to us, but in the major parties that we would use as an asset to help us push that into the actual conversation if we wrote it?
I will say that we do have members who are sympathetic to us, whether or not they actually sign on any assets to us, I don't really know.
Okay.
But definitely
There's additional members leaning Republicans and Democrats that might be, but possibly willing to help.
that's part of the exploratory process, finding out if they're willing.
Gotcha.
I like the idea of the advisory team you talked about. When can we expect to see some draft language for motion on that?
I don't know that it's going to have to require a motion. I mean, to me, it's just a body of people that I work well with, that I communicate with on a regular basis, who can advise me, and then I would bring things to you when decisions need to be made. That's really it. Like, we're not going to need a motion to create this team. It's just, they're just meant to advise me. So, and I'm kind of already working on that. I've had a couple people reach out to me and volunteer to be on that as like in a committee form, but I don't think it's going to be a committee. And if I change my mind on that, then I'll bring it to you for sure by the next SLEC meeting. Any other questions? All right. Good.
All right. This is going to be a very similar format to what Whitney just did. I also uploaded just an outline essentially. But the role of vice chair for us is actually kind of a catch-all sort of a position, and my job is predominantly to support the chair. So a lot of the things that Whitney just talked about, I've been along for. I was also part of being sued, which was a new experience for me. Yeah, there was probably Lozano, you mentioned Art DiBianco, Wes Benedict, also former SLEC member Brian Bufar. These are all people that we reached out to help us try to track down somebody who could actually do this. Can't tell you how many times we heard, well, it sounds like something you should do. You should really find a lawyer who specializes in this though. So it took a while to find someone, but it was definitely a group effort, and I appreciate everybody who was a part of not only the process of finding the attorney, but then also the massive support that we got in raising funds for the legal. Those kinds of things were where I ended up putting in most of my support for that area after I was no longer part of the lawsuit that they moved forward with. My focus was on creating the legal fund, which was a temporary thing first, and then we know we have made that a permanent fund now, so we've got that in, which is great. But then sending out letters, calling people, sending out thank you cards, which haven't gotten yours yet, promise it's coming, but thank you all so much for your support on that as well. I'm not going to go through all of these things, just a few that I want to touch on for sure that I've been spending a lot of time with. When you mentioned both the org chart and the backlog that we had of county chair applicants, we are making our way through that. Nathan Watts, as you mentioned, is our new county coordinator, and he has really done a fantastic job of kind of triaging that situation and getting the ones who are still interested in their application to be a county chair and getting those moving. So I think I've interviewed probably 7 or 8 county chairs at this point. There are several that are in the process of just about to be appointed. There are a few who have already been appointed, and we still have some that are just kind of waiting for their turn to be interviewed and everything too. So one of the things that I ran on and that I'm very committed to doing still is getting out to physically be in the same place as our new county chairs. We've had a few things come up that have been a little bit, had to push some things onto the back burner, but that's something I'm very excited about in this, coming months. And as we have the new chairs being appointed, getting out there, spending some time with them, and just offering whatever support the state party can. We are planning to work on something that will come up in the budget discussion as well, but we want to prepare a booth in a box, which is something that the state party would be able to use for events. Essentially, it's something that has everything that you need to have a good presence at any kind of an event that we might be going to, and we want to help counties with that as well. So it can be basically loaned out to counties, but we also want to help counties create their own so that counties have those kinds of things. Make sure that we are seen and heard. So, let's see a few other things. I'm very, very excited that Kyle is our webmaster because I hate websites so much. There is definitely going to be a lot of website updates and changes and things happening here in the next coming months. So be aware of that, but I've got nothing specific right now, and I don't have to make those decisions, which is fantastic. But I have done, since becoming vice chair, even before that, I've done changes to the website just as they were needed, created the pages and everything for the event tonight, things like that. But I'm done with that. So very excited that someone much more qualified will be using that. And then events, I'm actually a member of the events department, and so I have been working with our director of events, Timothy Martinez, on some of the things that are going on right now, including where we are sitting right now, and also the event that will be happening tonight. I'm super excited about that. I'm not going to jump too much on the events department report, but I'm very excited about the events that we are going to be focusing on for this next year. We want to ensure that these SLEC meetings are fantastic and that we can get our business done, but that also when we have the opportunity to be together, that we can make the most of that, both in the time that we get to spend together and the funds that we can raise to keep this party going. So those are two things that are definitely at the focus of the events that we're doing. I also was able to attend Joe Jorgensen's rally in Austin. I went to 3 different SLEC events in 3 days. That was super fun. I didn't do quite as many as Kate did, but I was able to speak at the one in Brenham. I was able to work with the team for a separate event in Austin as well. And then also did my best to get to some campaign events as well for our own candidates. I was able to join Kevin Hale, didn't get fired, at a sign wave. We did a sign wave in San Antonio as well. We did block walking and things like that around as well. So just making sure that we are having support from the state level wherever we can for the counties and for the candidates. Also did a site visit for some future upcoming events, and we're, like Whitney had said about planning things ahead, we're working on that with Tim again for the events, of actually visiting places ahead of time so that we can have some that are already on the short list for the kinds of events and selecting things that we have coming up. So, and then beyond that, in my capacity, my job at LP National as the development associate, there are a few things I've been able to kind of cross-pollinate between there and LP Texas. So there will be an article in the upcoming LP News about the lawsuit that we went through that I was able to write. We were able to put out a couple of press releases from LP National as well regarding that same lawsuit and regarding just our convention and our new officers and all of that. Within my capacity there, I have access to new LP National members from Texas. And so I am making a really concerted effort to reach out to those people. I don't know about you, when I first joined the Libertarian Party, I didn't know there were different layers. I didn't know about county parties versus state parties versus national. So I make sure to let them know that they can donate to LP Texas as well as LP National. So, and then the last thing I'll mention is voicemail. I was surprised. We get a fair number of calls to that voicemail. And now that we have an outgoing message, they're not people looking for their prescriptions anymore. Sweet little thing. And so it was actually really, it's kind of a tedious thing to have to check the voicemail and call these people back, but it actually has been something I really appreciated getting to respond to people who have no connection with us whatsoever, and just call to say, I have been a Democrat my whole life, and I don't know what they are anymore, and I can't vote for them, certain are Republican, so I thought I'd check you guys out. Those are great conversations to have. So I've been able to do that a few times, and also send out some materials to people who have asked for it. So there's more on there. You can definitely look through the long list of sort of random things I have been involved in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. As far as future priorities go, there's definitely a lot of the things that we've already talked about that are going to be continuing. Changes to the org chart to make it match more what we need to accomplish on a regular basis, getting some staff positions, some volunteer staff positions filled, county chairs thing, all of that is going to be continuing. I do plan to spend a significant amount of time, coming months, on communications from LP Texas, both in the things that we already do in filling some more positions and making sure that we have people who are able to help there, but I also have some separate initiatives that I want us to give a really good old college try to. So those will specifically be involved with people who are willing to write op-eds, people who are willing to write press releases, people who are willing to do some, I'm not going to say social media trolling, but some contained social media work that I have, and radio as well. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, now's the time. Yes?
That list that you said of people who signed up for LP National, but is that list available to us and the Morgan County chairs so that possibly we could reach out to them and plug them out?
Yes, so Whitney and I receive a document every 2 to 3 weeks from LP National of data for LP Texas, for everyone who's come through from Texas. Data is a separate thing that needs to have a lot of attention to it one of the ongoing things that we have is cleaning up our data, and I actually probably should have had Parker talk about that, but yes, we're getting there as quickly as we can so that there is a clear stream of getting those people directly where they are. But right now, I'll just also say Chris Clements is also on staff at LP National, and one of the things that both of us do is when we speak to someone who's in a county, we connect them with the people locally. So it's a little more manual than automatic right now, but we're moving towards that. Anything else? Yes.
Will you be offering topic suggestions to help us frame the debate for hires?
I didn't hear that, I'm
Will
sorry.
you be offering topic suggestions to help us frame the debate?
Yes, absolutely. It will be very much a group effort, clearly laid out. All right. Thank you so much.
I won't be very long, since a lot of these ladies have already reiterated a lot. Just to make sure thank Arthur for taking me through all the documentation that is on Ignite and everywhere else everything is stored. So my goal is to make it really streamlined so that I'm not looking in several places to find things. The other thing is always be on the lookout. As soon as you've got a motion, obviously get it to Whitney in a timely fashion, but if you do have it on there, send it to me ahead of time. I can make sure it's accurately reflected. That's something that's kind of pet peeve of mine, is make sure the notes are perfect going forward, so that when we refer back to them, they're accurate. So that's my goal. If you need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Just like these ladies, if you're going to come to your counties, I'm happy to do so. I'm a real reporter, I travel all the time, and I've been able to work with them and go to different events. It's been a pleasure serving you so far. So I'm going to give you guys some time, but if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm available on Discord, email, Facebook, text. There's zero excuse. You can find me. All right? Thank you. Yeah, please do. If you haven't got the treasurer's report up from the forum, I suggest you do so now. Because I am going to be very, very insistent. I will be very stingy with my time. There will be no questions taken during this report. Love you guys all. But that's going to be it. All right. So, while Stephanie's getting that up on the screen for y'all, then don't hide it out in the forum, please. Grab it. All right, so this is where we're at with our current bank accounts as of last Saturday. So I was able to get this compiled last Saturday, and so we are good through October. Obviously, those numbers are not going to reflect any of this for November. General account, we have $48,367.28. That's actually quite standard for us, just a little bit above where we're at, which is good. I mean, we are dealing with an election year, so that's going to be a happy number to have. Supplemental account, we have $5,465.87. That's again standard. I am going to make the note, jump down the note, expenses are now coming out of the general account instead of the supplemental account. Apparently for the past few years, the expenses were coming out of the supplemental account, and we were just taking general funds and putting it into supplemental to account for those expenses. So it was still coming out of the same place, just it was being redirected through that. Legal fund, what we have left over after our expenses of $10,000 was $1,663.56. As you can see, we no longer have an account called directed donations. The reason why is because legal fund is the only project we have right now that is a directed donation. Vault, and I have suspended because we have no funds. They have overdrawn into general, and of course I'll talk about that here. We have convention savings. Now, be very happy with this number of $37,462.36. That is the largest convention savings account we've ever had in history, according to the records. All revenue. And of course, we'll get to talk about that more in our convention committee report. Again, I think it's going to be the first time in like 10 years that one will be presented, so be happy about that too. Reserve fund at $10,204.99. According to our rules, we do have a minimum of $5,000, but in the previous, we were able to double that, and so now we have a reserve account of over $10,000. So again,
If you look at those and you see the total of 103,000, like, guys, you guys should be really, really proud. For us to come out even on our presidential election year and have that all together, I think this is probably the largest account we've ever, like total accounts we've ever had. So be very, very proud of yourselves too, because it's for your efforts when it comes to legal fund, convention, still having in-person convention. So thank you guys. All right, so I'm gonna go down the notes real quick. I've already gone through some of them. Convention, yeah. So the reserve fund, we did have a separate account at Wells Fargo. It has now been transferred over to Chase, and so now we have all of our accounts under one bank group. Side note on that, we are actually going to be changing banks as soon as I can find one I'm happy with, because I hate Chase. And if you can ask and you can ask Whitney, and now you can definitely ask Stephanie. We have all, every single time we have had any dealings with Chase Bank, about any of our accounts, whether that's transferring funds, transferring ownership, creating new accounts, we have gotten the runaround and they have not even been nice about it. So we have had it with them. That is the first ask for checking and put all of our money somewhere else that's going to appreciate us. Yeah. All right, so now we're going to go and we are going, and Stephanie now has obtained ownership on all accounts. That is according to Chase. I like that practice, even though it's not our rules. I like the practice that the secretary is owner of all the accounts and the treasurer is just the underwriter, and I write checks and I guess I can transfer and do all that good stuff, but I can't create accounts, I can't close accounts, and I like to have another set of eyes on the accounts as well. And then Whitney, you have, yes, she has viewership, yeah, she can view. So I'm glad that we have lots of eyes on the accounts and they are all appropriate because they are all current leaders. that was interesting. That was interesting. All right, so I'm going to scroll up to our 2019 memberships and where we stand. If you guys didn't look, these are some of my favorite charts. That's 2019 membership. Now, the note I have there, donations were tracked under recurring donations and one-time donations tag. Membership levels were actually not tracked at all at the various levels. So that is the reason why that picture does not look as pretty as the next one will be. We had total donations of $14,426, one time at $100,000. This is yearly for 2019, guys. For the year. Recurring donations, $13,000, $13,741, $371. Again, that's 2019. Now we're going to scroll up to 2020 because 2019 is gone. The reason why I bring up 2019, and you'll see the 2019 budget as well, is because we are going into a non-election year. And the last non-election year numbers, membership, and budget that we have compared to is 2019. So even though those numbers aren't the prettiest to look at, it is something that we do have to consider as being, if for some reason we all slack at our jobs and we take a nose dive, that's what our numbers are going to look like again this next year. I know y'all don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. All right, so now let's look at some happy numbers. 2020 memberships. Guys, be very, very proud. This is memberships tracked the level by the levels, various levels, January through the end of October, on October 31st. Total membership, $25,778. Guys, we have nearly doubled membership and just in the 10 months compared to 2019. Monthly membership, $20,242.14. One-time memberships, $5,536.72. These are just membership tags. So this is annual basic memberships, annual bronze memberships. We've got the monthly, silver, like it is all tracked. Of course, it's not tracked right there on that pretty little thing because that would be a ton of different squiggly lines and it just wouldn't make sense. So that's what that looks like right now. If you want me to, I can, what am I saying? I know. There it is. No, that's proposed budget. Where did it go? Did I snap it? Yeah. Sorry, this is a brand new computer, so I'm not trying to one. All right, so, yeah, so that's the reason why. Now, of course, you're going to see those little humps in the line in April, May, and changing. That's because usually for convention, that's when we're gonna have a lot of people who are like, I need to get my basic membership in there before convention. So that's the reason why you're gonna see that. I am very, very determined to make all of those basic $25 donations into at least a $10 recurring monthly donation. In the beginning of next year, I have an extensive plan to not only turn the annual and the basic donations into recurring donations, but I'm going to be challenging every single recurring monthly contributor to bump up as well. So I'm going to be very aggressive on the memberships and what we do, and of course that's going to be the help of Andrew Emlin and his fantastic team, and of course Becca, because that's something Becca also wants to do. That is going to be the theme for 2021, is getting that money. All right? We want to keep these numbers, right? We want to have bank accounts on and on election year, getting ready for 2022 and setting us free. So that is going to be the goal. All right, I'm a little fashion here. No, it's good. Here we go. All right, so now we are going to go to 2019. There's a lot of question marks on here. I'm just going to go over this very briefly, and I want to show you all again, the reason why 2019 is up here is because it's the last non-election budget that we have to compare to kind of give us an idea of what we could be facing for this next year in 2021. Again, general and recurring donations, that's how membership was tracked. That was the income. As you can see, our actual was less than we expected. We're going to go down to expenses. The only thing I kind of want to talk about right here is the database services, Recent Nation Builder, and AWS and Vault. Those were lumped in together. I don't know why. Y'all might have to, talk to the previous administration on that, or for yourselves, because anybody who's on SLEC and approved that, y'all should be scratching your heads why y'all did that. This Vault is a whole separate other project and should not have even been lumped into our general expenses. So as you can see right there, we are, if you add those numbers together, we were over on that as well. We were over on almost everything. So operations department, of course, this was by department because that's how the budget was approved. There are some question marks on there. That was because as I was going through the 2019 numbers, there actually was not a vendor tag to an expense or any notes or anything to tell me exactly where it came from. I wish I could give you answers if you have a question about that. I can't. I tried. I really can't. So now we're going to go down and to the end, net income, we took a loss of $2,213 in 2019. We cannot allow that to happen. We broke the rules. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to let that happen in 2020. So we're going to, if any, again, hold all your questions. If you have any, just write them down. I'll get to them. So 2020, now we're going to go to 2020 where we're actually at. I have restructured the budget to reflect what it should look like based on department and based on membership and income tracking. So general donations, it says one time, that is one-time donations. I kept some of the tags just because that's how the 2020 budget was adopted. So if you were to take the 2020 treasurer's report and the proposed budget, you could go side by side and still kind of go line item. It's just a little bit more detailed. This is where we're at. As of right now, our total income sits at $53,000, just under $54,000. Our expected was $18,000, so good for you. I do want to kind of point out right here, directed donation, Vault, $50. Yeah. All right, expenses. Again, the database services, it was lumped into $52,000. Should not have been that way. So again, I separated them out and I have recreated Nation Builder as not a database service, but as a website, because that's what it should be under. We are overdrawn on the IT department. And again, this is through October. One of the reasons why I want to point this out The 2020 proposed budget was only allocated for 10 months. Nobody had thought to do the math and say, wait, these numbers don't add up. It was a budget that was approved for only 10 months. It was not for the full fiscal year 2020. That's why we were horribly overdrawn on everything. The numbers were just not done correctly, and nobody caught it, and it was adopted that way. We'll fix it. So again, so let's just say storage, like iron and ore. I'm just going to use that as an example. Obviously, right now we're at 680. That's through October. 588 was what was budgeted. Again, that was due to only calculating 10 months of line items. They did not count for the 2 last months. They had calculated it based on the 2019 actual budget instead of going back to the 2018 to a full year to at least compare. So I'm going to make that a common practice. It's going to be a full fiscal year, the current fiscal year, that will go into the decisions of the next proposed budget to make sure we don't ever run into that problem again. And guys, like, you'll need to make sure you'll do that because dividing by 12 is not hard. All right. Obviously, right now we're pretty good on some of these expenses. As you can see, like Regis, we're over again. That was based on a 10-month, not a whole 12-month. We have right now our departments we're at zeroed out. That was what Arthur and I have found in the minutes. The only thing we could see is that the departments were zeroed out. There was mention in here and there that there were department budgets adopted, but we could not find them in the minutes. And again, FAs have to deal with a lot of missing information as well. Lots of cleanup, y'all. All right, so as you can see, we're overdrawn in development department, and of course in the special project and legal fee. And again, we're going to fix that. Right now, we sat with a net income of $26,230.97. Something to be proud of, but that is an election year. We're going to have those amazing funds. We're going to have to, worst case scenario, think that is going to move on and cover us for all of 2021. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm not going to go through my treasurer's assessment. What I am going to do, because the 2020 actual budget is up there, I want to invite Arthur to propose his motion to extend the 2020 budget so we can stay within our rules, because I'll be damned if we end 2020 over. All right, I yield the floor to Arthur.
I'll move the 2020 budget extension. I uploaded it on Ignite and on the forum, and I don't think I need to read the whole thing, but I can if people want.
Please.
Second.
I move to modify and authorize the 2020 budget with the following extensions. The IT department, $2,380. Operations, $2,400. Events, $6,250. Development, $1,082.50.
Second.
All right, any objection to adopting this motion to do the budget extension for the remainder of the year? Hearing no objection, the motion.
Thank you. All right, now that we've got that out of the way and we are back within our rules for the 2020 budget, I am now yielding the floor to any questions.
Kate, thank you so much for this internal report. I want to say it's one of the best I've ever seen at a party. Thank you very much. I might have missed it, but did you do any forecasting for based on the trajectory of income of like I would say like membership donation? Have you done any forecasting?
I did, and that will be in the 2021 budget, proposed budget. It will also show my expectation and forecast of our income.
Okay, please.
Elliot Sherman, SD 17. Do you have any input on the vault project specifically? I know that we have not had any financial support for it. I campaign personally, and I think there's a lot of benefit to having data accessible to candidates, depending on how they can get access. But do you have any intention to continue funding Vault or a similar data-driven resource like that with direct donations?
No. And the reason why is because as we see, we had $50 that was directed to Vault this year. $50. They are overdrawn according to my records. Now, Arthur says that we are overdrawn even more according to his records, but we're overdrawn into the general, which according to the motion when that project was approved, it was supposed to stay strictly on directed donations. Now it's overdrawn into general, and
So
that's against the rules.
if we were to fund it, are you saying that it was not worth the value to the party, or that it's just not presently funded?
I'm going to bounce back this question. How much of that data did you heavily use and lean on for this campaign? And then my question would be to the other candidates. I
did some analysis for different precincts within my district. That seemed like they had people who previously voted for both Republican and Democratic primaries as a potential area. Like, okay, this precinct has 10% of the people who have done that. Maybe that's a good area to block off. So I did do some analysis, but I don't know that many campaigns did.
and I know that a lot of the analysis was before you got a hold of it, because you had to do a lot yourself, but it was supposed to be part of that project as well, so the analysis was supposed to be there for y'all. And it fell short. And now that information that we purchased and we analyzed was from 2018, it's only relevant to 2020. We would have to, guys, I'm not lying, Vault is one of those projects. It's a massive money dump that did not share the results that it was supposed to. It is my recommendation as a treasurer to not renew that project at all. Because again, I never got financial reports. I asked when I got into this position, I asked certain departments, including that one, I reached out and said, I need detailed reports on where y'all stand financially. Crickets. And I repeated it, and so it's my professional recommendation to have the project. Yes.
I was just going to say, if we can table that question for about 20 minutes, it's going to be the rest again in another report.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yes.
Real quickly, before I get into my question, I do want to echo your sentiments within my personal experience in the party that Vault has not played out the way we had looked at. But that said, I do have a question, and this may seem a little bit leading given my previous position, but it's genuine. I do recall, and I haven't dug into the minutes, that when Vault was approved, it was approved on a directed donation basis, but there was an addition to that of some general funds that were allocated to the project to buy, I think, data at the very beginning.
Yes.
Was that money considered in whether or not we're overdrawn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I would just a quick comment about the Vault project. It was anticipated that the Vault project would bring a working beta version to Big Spring, but due to COVID and Liz having some family issues with that, it held up that end of the project. But there was definitely an intent to bring the working beta to Big Spring so that the candidates would have it to use. So at this point, it's sort of in beta. It's just taken a lot longer than originally anticipated, basically due to what else went down this year. I haven't spoken to her since shortly after convention, but I do know that last I spoke with her, her intent was to get it up and running so that it could be a useful tool down the line.
Well, this is one of those projects, it always starts out with great intentions, and people are very excited about it. I was there for that meeting as a gallery viewer, and I was excited about that project, and it's just, like we've experienced with other projects in the past, it's a lot of hype and a lot of people who are wanting to put their hands in on it, and then it takes a nosedive. And Vault's not the only project that we've seen that way. And we've got to be consistent, and we have to work through with our commitments on these projects, because it was a massive money dump that was well over $10,000 for 2 years.
It's a good chunk of that.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So, if anybody any questions on the 2020 actual? That'd be great.
Yeah.
have do our expenses, do we have any contractual buy-down agreements or anything else with companies? I know like specifically AWS, you can adopt affiliate language, or we can partner with National to actually buy down the pricing of a lot of these services.
Well, AWS was for Vault only, which was an LP Texas project, so it had actually no affiliation with National at all, and of course we couldn't.
Right, the actual funds don't necessarily have to be compiled. You can do generic price files, so just make sure you're aware, so.
Well, I think Nation Builder is something that we are looking into because National has got a website service that everyone seems to be pretty happy with. I think yes, CRM, and we're looking at that. And I think if we enter into a contract under National with that, I think our pricing is supposed to be drastically reduced as well. So yes, we are looking into stuff like that right now, but it isn't anything that I'm looking that we are confident in putting into our 2024 proposed budget for analysis right now.
Is the treasurer having a happy birthday?
Yes, because the questions are very easy for me right now.
Everybody, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, sweet Happy birthday to you.
Any other questions from the select members? Any objections? Oh, yes.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the processing fees for credit cards. Do we have any idea of filling out for a lower processing fee? Because I think like we're budgeted, we're like double, so do we have like the incoming? Is that why it's so much higher than what we're budgeting?
Yes, so it's 7% of what we're bringing in through online. 7% of whatever we bring in, that's monthly online, ticket sales, 7% it goes to credit card processing. Now, I did make a slight error when I first put out the treasurer's report. If you're seeing one that says credit card processing of upwards of close to 7,000, that's actually wrong. Half of that is now been moved to the convention budget because that was one little expense I totally forgot to put in there. So it's now down to the little over 3,000, and we are actually on track with that, surprisingly enough. But yes, 7% is what we're paying in credit card processing. Yes, that is another place where I find where you have opportunity to shop around for a lower price.
Is there any possible to get?
Sorry?
Is that the payment up?
There's,
Who's doing the credit card processing?
we have three different systems that have to do credit card processing, and that's through Authorize, Global Payments, and Nation Builder. Yeah. Anyway, yes. So that's we have three different, and that's through Authorize. So we are going to be looking at shopping around.
Is there a reason we use three different ones instead of just a single?
Two of them are through Authorize due to the various credit cards. So one credit card processing company is going to only process MasterCard and Visa. Another credit card processing company is only going to do like Discovery and all those others. So that's the reason why they're separate, but it all falls under Authorize. So once we shop around for different base credit card processing, those should go down.
And did you apply the amended to the forum, or can we expect to see that? Because all I have is the one that says.
Yeah, I actually think I updated it in the same. Yes, in the same thread. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did. Like as soon as I found it, and I changed everything with the convention budget and then with this budget, like I posted like updated in the same thread. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And then of course after all this, I will go back and repost for the final of what's about and such. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Any
Any other-
select questions? Any objections here from Mr. Troxel from James County? We got it.
With Troxel, James County, is there a way for people who are non-select members to access these reports? Besides requesting it through potentially your Senate district? Because this is something that I know I've had a lot of people that have talked about potentially wanting to join the party. Like, I don't know why I'm donating to, or why I would donate to the state party, why I would donate to the national party, because they don't know what the expenses look like. And I'd like to be able to give them at least some summation of what that report looks like, so that I can get is going, it's going, I want to be able to be accountable to my constituency.
Absolutely.
So I would like, I know that as select members, everyone gets these reports, but as county chairs, I would like to be able to have some way to be able to provide some amount of this report to my constituency.
Public comment, question. While you're taking care of that.
I still haven't gotten access to that, so.
We'll look into it.
All right, fantastic.
We will find a way, don't let me forget.
While I'm doing the treasurer's report, then of course the thing that I ran on is I want to get a bookkeeper at the beginning of 2021. So consider applications now open for that position. I will be going through those applications and starting interviews the first 2 weeks in December. So I'm hoping to have the bookkeeper position filled by January of 2021. So we can start expanding on our membership and our projects and making sure that we have multiple eyes on the books and that nobody's making errors or anything like that. So if you'd like to apply, go to lbtexas.org/
Under volunteer staff.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, and there'll be bookkeeper you can apply. And you guys work with me? Yeah. All right.
So we are about 30 minutes ahead of schedule at this point. So if we're going to start staff reports next, and I'll probably ahead of the schedule. So if anybody would like, if you guys available for potty break.
Move for 5 minutes recess.
So 5 minutes.
Beat the rush.
47, 10:47.
Be careful, she's talking right now.
Oh, that's true. So we don't have an operations director right now, so I've been kind of fielding a lot of stuff. for operations director? I have received just in the last like 24 to 48 hours, probably a dozen applications for one thing or another, and I have not opened them. So it is possible. So, but yes, operations director position is. Yes.
Nathan, who's in the operations department, uploaded a report last night for Chris County Coordinator report.
Okay, so yes, under the operations department, county coordinator, who's doing a phenomenal job, has uploaded a report for your employment in the forum. There's probably a lot of words in it. But the county stuff has really been taking along. I'm really excited about that. That is one way that we're continuing to expand our organization and get people involved quickly. Yes.
So one of the things that at one point existed under operations, I think they got into communications, it's kind of fallen in and out, was the regularly occurring newsletter. Any idea on what our plan is to move forward with that?
We want one, and we're gonna have one.
Awesome.
So January 2021 will be our first meeting. Any other questions related to operations?
What qualifications exactly are you looking for most in an operations manager?
So we have, yes, there is a job description. I don't know where to find it, I think right now. But there is a job description. It is actually currently being edited as well. So I don't want to answer that question yet. I don't think I did. I don't have it with me.
It is on it.
Yeah, there is one on Ignite, so more or less you can kind of, but obviously people who can multitask, because all of the I do have it. This is a draft version, but since all of the positions under operations are not filled yet, whoever is sort of over that department, if that's how it's going to wind up being, would have to do a lot of it. And so you can look at the post itself to see what it is. But basically, we're looking at people who can recruit, volunteer to the various positions, manage all of these different, arms that we have out in the state doing different things like outreach, and also managing our inventory of like our party assets, our equipment, things like that, because I don't want to do that anymore. Then being able to keep track of all the activities, maintaining a calendar for the party, like LP Texas calendar, so that any of us counties, we all know what's going on nearby, officers can know what's going on, we might want to be, a part of, things like that. So there's going to be some management skills, necessary for that, and communication is huge. Because like I said, maintaining that calendar, communicating with us about where we need to be, that's going to also be covering like some of our outreach activities, our coalition building, all of that kind of falls under there. But the job description is currently being reworked, and I will let you guys know in the form as soon as it's ready. But in the meantime, there is one already. All right. Any other questions? What? John.
I just want to ask if it would be helpful to the previous question for you to give a rundown of the day of the life of what it's been in the past.
You're more than welcome to.
Okay, so I can tell you in the past what's happened is inquiries have come through on the website regularly. People wanted to know stuff from procedural stuff, how do I donate, all the way to why are people so evil. And the operation director, for the quick and easy ones, would send a response. For more complicated ones, would they kind of triage and send those to the correct people to answer that. They also, on the newsletter, quite often end up writing the newsletter, but their actual supposed position in that was to interact with all the departments and get them to send content to them, and then collect it into a newsletter. About once, and the periods vary, but I think at one point we had it once a quarter. Then we get a report from the treasurer about all the donations that had come in, go into an Excel sheet and put that into a membership list. They would then place together an order for membership cards, send that out, and send those out. And in addition, when we have special stuff coming up like election flyers or material that need to get to the county chairs, they coordinated all the mailing and requesting who actually wanted that material to the front. So that's what's happened in the past.
Yeah, that's the sort of the granular.
So they're not busy at all.
Oh.
Good.
So I don't want to do it more. All right, so no more questions related to that. We'll do the rest of my time, and we'll move on to the next thing. Randy and Road Communications.
I'm Randy Silver, Communications Director. I've been Communications Director in Elton, Texas for the last 2 years. I'm hoping for applause when you see some information in a moment. The purpose of our party is to win elections. Therefore, we use our party assets and talent to shape thinking of as many voters as possible. The vast majority of my time and energy is in social media, although the communications part is clearly more than that. That includes some things we didn't get to or simply just didn't do well. The vast majority of our efforts are Facebook and Twitter. So we give you the numbers on those right now. We started 2018, Elton, Texas Facebook followers. That was election day 2018, 20,578. As of election day 2020, that number has one extra digit. Pretend that's zero, the end isn't there. 41,000, that would be awesome. 41,701 followers. In 2 years. Compare that to LP National, where I had an increase of LP National, total number of increase was about 37,000 followers in a 2-year period of time, whereas LP Texas a little over 20,000. So compare that and consider that and see those numbers are pretty good. Average daily page followers a year of 2008 was 4.6. 2018, excuse me, 4.62. 2019 was 20-something. 2020, this year, that date was wrong. 49.6 on average every single day this calendar year. So that's the number. Facebook group, which is the next slide. This Facebook group, our Texas Libertarians group, principally been managed by Andrew Emlin, Ben Farr, Chris Clemens, the last couple of years. They've done great work. If you recall, if you were involved, if you remember back 8 years ago, you know that the two best words to describe it were dumpster fire. It wasn't dumpster fire, it was something else. It was awful. It was nonstop arguing and fighting with people supporting candidates. The other part is not ours. A couple years ago, SLEC made a movement. It was semi-formal, somewhat informal, to take control of that group and put a lot of energy and talent into making it an asset of the party that was usable for our party's purposes. And the people who did that, which was principally Ben Farr, and Chris Clemens, and I hope I haven't left anybody out, did a bang-up job. Instituted policies and standards on what can be posted, what kind of comments are acceptable, and membership requests to get into that group. It has been spectacular. Here are the numbers on that. From 3,423 members on January 1st to yesterday, 6,872. 101% increase in less than a year. Really impressive. Really impressive, though. This is very broad. Active group members. Facebook group insights will give you the data on how active people are. In January, maybe because it was early in the election year, it was right about 500 active members of the group. That's people who are making posts or commenting or clicking on it. And one day it's more, one day it's less, but it's in the 500 range. I looked at it yesterday, it was over 3,000 for the month of October. It's really incredible. That's half the group members are considered active. That means people are engaging with content in that group. There's other people are creating. That's mostly comments, posts, and shares outside of the group go a long way for that. So this is remarkable, And the people who have done that, particularly the moderators, to clean that up, to protect the image and the assets of that, have done an incredible job, and they deserve the thanks. Andrew Amlang and Chris Clemens especially. A moderator, using Moses, also a moderator, and everybody on that team does great work. Our Twitter account is something I didn't really touch for about a year and a half. It was rarely on Twitter. I didn't really get Twitter. I'm not at the age just beyond where Twitter belongs. I think it's the younger side, but I'm an old dog. I learned a new trick. I learned the Twitter machine. And here's what we did. We began with 3,546 Twitter followers on election day 2018, and as of yesterday, 9,064. Am I up already?
Sir.
You can, it's great.
155%.
Allow me 5 more minutes.
I can do it in 2. Go for it. 155% increase in just a 2-year period. Very, very pleased with that. I did work with a couple of great volunteers, such as here, Angie Moses, Elizabeth Miller, Honorary Clardy, who contribute to that and help us shape our message. The purpose of our party is to win elections. So the purpose of our communications is to shape thinking among the widest and deepest possible audience for the purpose of getting these people. We do everything with purpose. We mostly do it well. We sometimes drop the ball. We learn from those mistakes and errors, but we continue to move forward. I'll show you my final slide. These are thoughts and ideas of things we've not yet done, things that we're hoping to do in the future, things that require more talent and more people to do them, and to do them well. Starts with number 1, recruiting more talent. This is not the kind of thing you can just plug into anyone and say, here, you do this job, give them it's talent to communicate short, succinct messages about politics in this environment. Things we've done nothing on, but are good opportunities. MeWe, Instagram, and Parler, and we're going to do that. Standard social media efforts, which we've done very little of, but I think have a great opportunity there. And of course, video. We've done essentially nothing or very little with video. There's a great opportunity to reach people. That's what's coming next. So, if you want to discuss any of these things with me, I'd be happy to. If you're interested in contributing some, I would love to discuss it with you. If at any time, I'm happy to take any questions.
Have we had any problems with Facebook or Twitter blocking any of our messaging?
No, and I'm glad you asked that. We've had none in our group, nor our page, and the reasons we don't post junk. Facebook is cracking down on things that they consider fake news, some of which is debatable whether it is or isn't. We tolerate none of that on our page. We don't share links to news articles very often. Anyways, in our group, we decline posts that would be not range of what could be considered fake news. Can I answer your question?
Yeah, one more thing, if we do start having problems like that with Facebook, with Twitter, or with Google, there's a company called locals.com that has made a commitment to free speech on political, right, that we should look at.
About 4 months ago, we got the blue check mark on our Facebook page and our Twitter page made it official, which I think is going to make it easier or less likely to have a problem in the future. Stephen Harris worked really hard to make that happen. It took like a year to get over that, and then there it was. He deserves credit for that. Any other questions?
Yeah, do we use our social media for fundraising? And if so, do we have a way of tracking?
I would say we use it for fundraising this much. We've got a handful of posts like that. The challenge when you put a link to a donation page is that Facebook, anything in a Facebook post that includes a link not on Facebook, you get a really reduced reach. That's hard. We don't have, or haven't, but I'm hoping you're the guy to give us a dedicated links, because I would love to know, hey, if we did this post, does it result in anyone clicking on it? And I don't have an answer. So no, we could do a little bit more with that. I lean towards it's not very effective, but it doesn't cost us anything either. So no reason we can't do more of that, particularly in our Facebook group, which is going to be people who are inclined to be involved. Any other questions?
On the Spanish social media efforts, I'm guessing this would be a good opportunity for the viewers. Texas is very diverse. We have a lot of Democratic voters.
Probably 523 Spanish-speaking voters.
There you go.
570,000.
Very small.
550,000.
What would be your first thoughts on getting that rolling? I mean, I don't know much Spanish, but.
Yeah, I asked you. And so I made those cars and it's tricky. We need several people who are already involved or willing to get more deeply involved. And are finding people to do that, and that's proven to be more difficult than I ever anticipated.
If I remember correctly, not this last budget, not even this last budget, at one of the more recent budgets that we passed, we put in some money for social media advertising. Did we ever get any use out of that? And
I don't recall. The last I recall, we had $400 in communications department, which we punted on maybe a year ago, if you recall, because we were running out of cash and some money needed for the time of year. So on Facebook advertising on a page will greatly reduce. I'll answer John's question. You've got Facebook advertising on a page will greatly reduce the reach you get on future posts. So I would lean against doing that. If it's my decision, I would never do an ad on Facebook for our party. I would, however, encourage candidates to do that. I would love it. Because you have a limited time window. Okay, the candidate is done with their campaign on election day. Whereas the party doesn't end. Never ends. The road goes on forever.
There you go.
If you have any further questions, come find me at lunch.
Within that department is candidate coordinator Ted Brown, so with lots of fun stuff.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, starting with political action divisions, because they're good to be here. So the he was saying we're transitioning from candidates to political legislative agenda for next year to let them know if there's anything you want on our legislative agenda. It would help if we had a state legislator to propose our legislative agenda, but sadly that is not the case. One thing just physically is, you know, the state capitol has been closed, like locked up tight, and the grounds of these are locked up tight. When I was out canvassing, I met a man who identified himself as a sergeant of arms of the Texas House of Representatives. And I said, well, is the legislature going to open? Is the Capitol going to open? He said he didn't even know that what's going to happen is as soon as they know who the speaker is, the new speaker will work with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. These guys will just like decide whether the Capitol is going to open and how the legislature is going to meet. Will they be able to meet in person? Will the committees be able to meet in person? And that will really affect any of our people going down to testify, like we have in the past, on any of the bills that are being brought forward. And we certainly have to look out for ourselves because, as Whitney mentioned, they can go after us even further. Republicans in the legislature could change ballot access again, because if we were under the rules that were previous to the current change, we would have lost our ballot status because we only got 5% of the vote in the statewide race this time. Luckily, that's not the current standard. In fact, the highest in the statewide race was Tom Oxford for Supreme Court for 2.61%. So we're good for the moment, but we could be, taken to the cleaners there by the Republicans. Okay, now, as for my report as candidate coordinator, before I discuss any election results, I just wanted to talk about why it's good that we have so many candidates. And the point is, the reason to have a lot of candidates, as you know, is we need to be there. If most of the public doesn't pay any attention to politics, except during election season, and so if we don't have a candidate running, then they're never going to hear really or pay attention to the Libertarian Party, or any party for that matter. But for the Libertarians, we have to be there running candidates and telling people that there's an alternative. And we have a lot of candidates doing that, and many ran active campaigns, many did not. The point was voters were able to have that alternative. Now, as for active campaigns, plenty of candidates did. I know for the congressional races, I know Kevin Hale, Elliott Sherman, Christy Mallory Peterson, and myself ran very active congressional campaigns. I hope I was following Facebook. I'm not sure how many state legislative candidates, like state house and state senate, did. I know that at least 4 of us for the congressional race were running very active campaigns and getting a lot of information out to voters. Now that brings us to the vote totals, however, and none of our candidates in races that have multiple candidates broke 4%, which is disappointing, of course. Now, is that a stealing for libertarian candidates in Texas? I'm not sure. I hope not, because obviously we need to get a lot more votes than that. But only 4 congressional candidates broke 3%, and the averages were in the 2s. And it's unfortunate. You know, I'm kind of disappointed. It's not like, say, I had 3.23% in my congressional race, but I'm not going to do that victory lap thing, like that meme where the guy is like dancing around, popping the champagne bottle, chewing on the gold coin, and celebrating while the people that came in first and second are looking at him like he's nuts. You know, it's like, I don't think that's necessarily a lot to celebrate. But the key is, how much effort can we put in to compete with those multi-million-dollar budgets of the Democrats and Republicans? It's very, very difficult. Like, just how much do you have to do to get that attention or get that support? Now, I know California County Supervisor Jeff Hewitt was here a little while ago. He's a guy that actually did spend a lot of money. He spent $500,000 to get elected to his position. So if I spent $500,000, if Elliot spent $500,000, if Kevin spent $500,000, would that do it? I don't know. There's really a lot of prejudice against the libertarians as a third party. People say, oh, my daddy's a Democrat, my granddaddy's a Democrat, I'm always going to vote for those Democrats. There seems to be that kind of attitude we really have to break. Now, we were the balance of power in several races, 2 Board of Education races. Stephanie and Whitney both were. In fact, Stephanie was our highest scoring candidate tonight. And we also were balanced power in 1 state Senate race, which changed that one over from Democrat to Republican. 1 congressional race, 24th, by just 115 votes, and 2, 4, 5 state House races, one of which the Republicans won all but one of those. They might blame us for one of those. And then the two-way races, we had some good two-way races, especially Nico Antonio in Houston, like 28.87% in the two-way race. So I'm not sure if he was active or not. Or the large Romanian community in that district, or whatever the case may be. And Audrey Berry for Board of Education 8, 26.5%. We have to consider, though, why are there two-way races? And that's usually in districts that are very massively one party or another, either massively Democrat or massively Republican. And so, possibly, I don't want to disparage our candidates, they did great, but if they have a D or an R after their name in those respective districts, and they've got about the same number of votes, and that's the opponent of the one major party incumbent. That's what happened in Arkansas with Ricky Harrington, our great U.S. Senate candidate in Arkansas. He had a record number of votes, like 37 or 38% in the statewide U.S. Senate race. But of course, no Democrat was running. What the Democrats are going to do when they go to the ballot box and consider John Cotton on the ballot, and they're not going to vote for Tom Cotton. He's probably the most dangerous man in America, as far as I'm concerned. We've seen a lot of that. Now, this is interesting about how the Republicans often say that libertarians take their votes away, and now for the major offices, I think that's been statistically shown not to be the case, like, say, president or where people really have a strong preference. Because how many libertarians, if Joe Jorgensen wasn't running, are going to vote for Biden or Trump? No. But, interestingly, another office, columnist Ken Herman from the Austin Statesman brought an interesting point up a couple of days ago. He said that there was a Republican, Supreme Court Justice Jane Bland, was the first candidate in California to exceed 6 million votes. She's the best vote getter ever in Texas. So he pointed out that the other 3 Republican Supreme Court candidates did not clear 6 million votes. We wondered why Jane Bland got more votes than the other 3. Well, she didn't have a libertarian opponent. So the other 3, there were libertarians running, and the other 3 Supreme Court seats, it almost did look like most of those would have been Republican votes, which interestingly enough. So that's an interesting thing to look at maybe an office where people don't have a real strong preference. Like they don't go in and say, oh, that's Chief Justice Nathan Heck. I'm going to go in there and I hate that. That's so big or something. What they've never heard of the guy. Probably. So they don't have that thing that Trump and Biden built up. So maybe there is more of, you know, maybe we do trend in the Republican direction on some of those, some of our voters might trend in the Republican direction in that regard. Now, right after the election's over, Neil Dyckman started a new group about, on Facebook about candidates for 2022. There's been a lot of response. A lot of people have already put up their interest in running in the next election, which is fantastic. I haven't looked at the list yet. He's expressed an interest yet because I'm just getting over the 2020 election. But hopefully I'll be able to remain as candidate coordinator and check out all the potential candidates for 2022. Please, if you do want to run, just start putting in those applications, and hopefully we'll be able to. The legislature will not screw us over and make it harder again for libertarians to run for office. Oh, one thing I also want to mention, Wes Benedict is here also, and he's getting signs out for libertarians and for producing literature and signs for the booster pack, the state legislative candidate, and Max Eric for railroad commissioner. And he got a lot of people saw the libertarian message because of Wes's efforts there. So that was fantastic. So questions? Yes, sir.
Just wanted to make a correction. The next election is in about 8 months or 7 months. And if libertarians are going to actually mean something, they need to start running in May where it's achieved. So,
are you talking about like city council?
Yes, that is where we've got it. That's where we've got to look.
Right,
So that's the next election.
Right, now those would be nonpartisan offices, and that's absolutely right. You have a much better chance in nonpartisan offices. But yes, please start right away, because those are ones where you really do have to knock on doors and get to meet the voters in the smaller constituencies with the nonpartisan offices.
Yeah, you mentioned Jeff Hewitt earlier.
Right.
Jeff Hewitt, the amount of money that he spent on his race aside, he also was mayor of California before that, before he became one of the supervisors in one of the largest counties. And prior to getting elected mayor of California, he would go to county commissioners meetings every week, and he established a substantial presence in his community on a daily basis. They knew him. He was doing the work. He was volunteering. He was asking questions. People got to know who he was. That is how he became elected and in the position he is now, which is our second highest ranking elected libertarian in the country. And if you go by constituency, he's first. So that's very important. And yes, you're absolutely right about local races. That definitely needs to be something that we focus on. Really heavily focus on local races. However, we still have to have people at the top of the table, because the moment that they don't see us up there, they think we're gone.
Right.
So it's an existential problem that we have by making sure that we still have candidates at the top of the ticket, but also we need to be running local races and getting elected.
Oh, exactly. And speaking of local officials, a lot in Texas, so many local officials are actually partisan too, like at the county level. And so we found out during the pandemic here how important the county judge position is in every county. Because most people don't even realize that it shouldn't be called that. It should be county executive or county mayor or something. Most voters have no idea. That's the guy that runs the whole county, can rule by decree, lock down businesses, close businesses, lock down put you in your house or whatever, and in charge of all the health services, everything there. And so running the county judge, we're all up, 264 of them in 2022. Yes, Wes?
Is it okay if I say something real quick?
Any objections to hearing from Mr. Benedict in the gallery? Go ahead.
I've collected a lot of the used enough is enough vote libertarian signs. I'm going to bring some in and put them in the back here or out there in the hall. Everyone is welcome to take one or two with you just to use. They can be used in parades or in the next election. Free, right back here. Thanks.
Thank you. Those are great signs too. They're those orange and black ones are really easy to see at a distance. I was seeing them all over North Austin there. Thinking, oh, there's one. So hopefully, public would see. Yes.
I have two questions. First, can you just remind the body what offices our ballot access in Texas hinges on, and when that fight is coming up?
Well, that's every 2 years, it's any statewide office. So for example, this year, technically, it would have been Railroad Commissioner and the State Supreme Court and Court of Criminal Appeals would have been the statewide offices. I'm not sure if U.S. Senator counts or not, it might. And then next time, 2022 is the biggie where you have all the statewide constitutional offices like governor, lieutenant governor, controller, all of those, plus more Supreme Court, plus railroad, same ones as this time, plus all the constitutional offices. Now, the new law is that we've achieved ballot status because of the 2018 showing of Mark Ash for Court of Criminal Appeals. He got like 25% of the votes. He's got us set for like 5 elections or something. But again, that can be changed anytime. The state legislators say, oh, those libertarians, they stopped one of our guys from being elected to the state house. Let's raise it back up to 5%, and we're off the ballot because we only got 2.61% was our highest total in 2020.
So my second question is, I know maybe some of the vault data is outdated, but are there any plans to look at that data or this election cycle's data and try to identify where we can make the most impact?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't seen the vault data personally, so maybe Whitney can answer that. But there are, if you look at the like our vote totals, it seems like it's fairly standard. Like 2 or 3% of the vote. And so that's not all that great, really. I mean, there's so many, that 97% plus of Texans are generally not going to vote for it. That's not very good. But there's certain counties, I know Neil Dykeman has put out a chart about which counties we generally do the best. In Travis County, we usually do the best. And Brewster, oddly enough, like out in West Texas, he goes down the list of which ones are generally the highest percentage, but it's not a substantially higher percentage. It's a higher percentage, but not like someplace that votes like 10% or 20% libertarian. If that was the county, that'd be we can do a free state project and move everybody to the place over. But nobody's in that particular category as of yet.
Yeah, any objections to hearing another question from Select Member on this matter?
Do you have any information about when the 2020 census redistricting will be complete to establish new districts?
Yes, that's a very good point. So it was a little bit late, and so originally the state legislative session said normally they'd spend a lot of time in the legislative session doing the redistricting. Then they said the results would not be official in time for the legislature to take it up during the regular session. So they're going to have to do a special session sometime after the regular session, which ends in May, I believe. So sometime in the summer, probably in the middle of the summer with the
So would you say that people who are making strategic decisions for campaigns to run should maybe wait until then to announce?
They could, or they could just say, I'm going to run for Congress, and we'll, a district to be announced. Well, actually, you know what, Congress, you don't have to live in the district.
That's true.
And there might be 3 more districts.
But that's when you vote, you can vote for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, but and also strategic on that also. If you do, like this particular incumbent is going to be not running for re-election, and you have an open seat, and his district 5 miles away, you might want to try that. For state legislature, you have to live in this district, so those ones, you would have to wait for the redistricting. But if you're way out in the middle somewhere, and there's like, your district, your county's in the middle of like 15 counties, and within a district, and you're pretty sure you're probably in the same district as you were the last time. So we're talking about the county judge, so that's a county-wide position. If you want to run for that, redistricting has nothing to do with it. You can get started on that one right away. Or statewide, if you want to run for like state controller or for railroad commissioner or something, you can get going. Any others? Okay, thank you all.
All right, next up is Lee Sharp for IT, and
read my report, if y'all want specifics, it's easy to get, although a couple of things have changed since the report was made and some things that have been done. Instead, I want to do a handful of little things. First, I want to thank Arthur for being absolutely amazing in the foreign motion email. Professionally and paid professional plan projects with huge teams of those businesses when David's a rock star. Absolutely. Also, I want to apologize to Kate. Well, it wasn't an IT project. And the IT budget and the way IT has been run in the past and a whole bunch of things is a big thing of what I want to change. One of the things I have been working on is essentially working myself out of a critical job. The forums are hosted on DigitalOcean, and DigitalOcean right now is associated with a service account, not a person email account.
I work there for the office.
Yeah. But up till now, individuals with their email accounts subscribe to services. So when those individuals left, things got lost. And now we're trying to change things so that they're service accounts and they're service two-factor. And so that if I get hit by a bus, after the celebration, you just go on with business. Documentation is key. That's in my report. We want a lot more documentation. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is how I'm trying to handle IT projects now. Because Vault was a really good example of how we should do it. I'm working on 3 IT projects right now. None of y'all know about it. That's because instead of, in the past it was, I had this great idea for a project, give me a bunch of money and I'll make something. Now what we're doing instead is, let's make something, and if it's worthwhile, we'll bring it to you, and you can decide if you want to give us money. Because we have a lot of IT people in this party. A lot of people with hardware, a lot of people with services, a lot of people with hosted services that can donate resources to get a proof of concept going. And so there is absolutely no reason we need to spend money for a proof of concept. We can do that first. We've donated services, we've donated stuff, and then say, this is what we have, we like it or not. So yeah, the Vault project, as Kate said, is dead, but the data storage we still have, and we can still move forward with something, but we're going to move forward with something first, and then say, okay, this is it. Do you want to keep it or not? Not give us money first and then decide later. Because obviously that doesn't work as well. And if anybody has ideas for projects, come to me. I'll reach out, we'll find some resources, we'll put something together, and then you can present it once it's polished and pretty. So that's pretty much my report, other than the email that's in the forum, and you can see it. Are there any questions? Well,
Can I comment on AWS?
Absolutely.
So AWS we're actually still paying for, and I was not familiar with AWS before I got involved, just like a month ago. And we tried to basically not get rid of the account, but to shut everything down so we weren't being charged. But I learned that AWS will just start the database server back up after 7 days. So we paid $150 again this month, unfortunately, for it. Well, it was a little lower than last time.
It's been going up every month.
Yes.
AWS does that.
Yeah.
Yes. In the original motion, we weren't supposed to spend over $150 a month, and we did get up to $180. But anyway, the future 2021 budget does not have any AWS funds, so if we want to do anything with AWS, we need to decide at this meeting what we want to do. I'm okay, we should pull the data out and then we can set it on another server somewhere or something.
Me too.
And then at least shunt it off that way and get rid of AWS, which is a big cost that we're not doing anything with. Okay.
That has had such growth in registered voters and voters in recent past. 11 million people voted for the president just the other day, versus less than 9 million in 2016. But I would be surprised if the 2018 data had much value at all.
The only value to the 2018 data is when you're
And so if we want to continue buying data as a state, it's cheaper to have the historical data because you just buy the new set instead of owning all the history. So it's worth keeping, but yeah, it's not, if we don't keep it, we have to buy it again, it's not going to be a total deal breaker. The other thing that's nice about having historical data is if other people want to do their own proof of concept playing with the data, well, we got some data. It may not be current, but it'll work for proof of concept. But, so, you know, it has some value. I don't think we should throw it away. And if we get to the point where we don't have budget for it, and Amazon is saying, give us money, or we'll throw it away, you know, I agree with grabbing these, you know, don't let it die. But until we decide what to do with it. But I agree, we should pull it out of Amazon, because Amazon is definitely one of the most expensive places to just keep things that are old. And work it around elsewhere.
We have the data, but can we acquire the raw data from American Book? As far as that goes,
Who is we?
I
Okay, we is a very ridiculous term. Right now, I have 2 people that have access to AWS, and now 1 other person has data. Joe?
But until the wall project came along, am I wrong in assuming that we had no data analysis for voter data?
Not statewide. Individual counties want data, individual campaigns want data. So lots of people want data, but there's no coordinated effort, which is why I think what we had was a great idea. It was just, it didn't get to where we needed it to be.
So if we're declaring it dead, do we have any plans to resurrect the idea behind it? I know we're just going to go without.
But yeah, if you have a different one, I'm all in favor. You know, talk with me. We can find some resources to make it happen. You know, I would rather have 2 really great fault-like projects to choose from that are already proof of concepts and stable that we can see and choose from, rather than give me some money and I'll make something.
Right, but you're saying those are in the works.
I'm sorry?
You're saying those are in the works?
Well, no, there is something I would like to do to replace Vault. That's something I'm doing as a project that's funded by me on my stuff. You know, that kind of thing.
What do you anticipate rolling that out?
That's why I haven't brought it up. Don?
So, with Vault being mentioned and the general idea of analysis of election data, it's been my general perception in the past that there's never going to be a computing system that's just going to run over this data and spit out answers for us. If that existed, there was Democrats would just have it first. I mean, that's never going to materialize. And that while we do need a robust system for going through this data that will assist humans in doing that, one of the big places I feel like we're lacking is in the actual humans to go in and work with data and use that system. I want to ask you as IT, do you agree with that assessment, or do you see it as?
Oh yeah, no, the raw data is easy. Interpreted data is hard. And what I want to see is not just a raw data database, but something that we could add to it, and something that would that we could merge with our nation builder database and update it, so that everybody running could say, hey, this person here in the database, that's the wrong phone number. It's this now. This email died, it's over here. And that we would have a constantly updated database that everybody would be a part of. Oh, you're running State Rep 124? Well, that's these voters here. Here you go. That's what I wanted to see. That's what I thought Vault would be. You know, and it wasn't that. That's what would be incredibly valuable, because just having raw data doesn't help. Having a huge crowd of people keeping your data current is what makes it valuable. So, you know, that's what I'd like to see. But again, that's my project. If you have an idea for another project, I'll find you resources, and, you know, great, let's make it happen. I got free virtual servers that I can throw virtual meetings on and you can play with. You know, if somebody has ideas, we can make it happen. But I want to do it as side projects that are self-funded to a point that we can have something to show people before we talk about money or approval or anything. Because from personal experience, 3/4 of projects to start never go anywhere. And, you know, they don't succeed. And so I would rather, you know, do those off to the side and just show the successes because it makes people better.
Right. We are out of time. Just one quick question.
Do we have like a specification for a name sheet or something that describes what we want to all do on its own?
Nope.
What we thought.
It was hopes and dreams. It was hopes and dreams. That was one of the problems with that project. It was not a professionally studied project. There were milestones. There were a lot of things that weren't done the way a project is normally done. It was a great idea. It was an ambitious idea. A lot of work was put into it, but you know, it was that the last 10% is 90% of the effort, and we never got that last 10%. So.
Right.
It might be worthwhile to do like a small poll or something to see, like, if there's interest in it right now before we go more.
It doesn't matter. If there's one person interested and they're willing to do it, go for it. You see what I'm saying? If you're interested, you want to do it, I will support you. And it doesn't matter what it is, because once we get something, an actual project, an actual product, then we decide. Because you know, I want to decide on a product, not on a show of our spec.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
There's a report on Ignite, sorry about that, through yesterday, those little things. I've been going through a little bit of head scratching when I'm trying to figure out, coming out of the election campaign, most of y'all are probably, from Texas campaign, louder? Okay. So what I was saying is, I've been pretty busy the last 5 months with the election campaign for Ruben Cohen, and hopefully that will bear much fruit over the next few weeks as we move into transitioning. I have a bunch of volunteers asking, what can I do to stay involved? How can I get involved? A lot of these people, if they're not already involved with the Republican Party of Texas, they come in either not really knowing what's going on, or maybe they aren't really fond of the Libertarian Party of Texas, but they were excited about Ruben Cohen. And now that they've kind of gotten into that, they're ready to talk. That all starts with, well, number one, you can be a monthly donor, monthly supporter of Texas. And then we go on from there to talk about county engagement, volunteering for staff positions that are open, other things they can do. We have, I hope, a bunch of new donors and volunteers coming in. We have some specific notable activists like Casey Daly and Liz Solomon, people like that. They're exploring now ways they can get involved in volunteer staff and participate in this thing. So that's going to be good. We have the state team meeting next week to complete an after-action report and talk about how we can basically transition the people, donations, and assets such as Facebook, social media accounts and things that now need to be transitioned into some other role. So that's all looking pretty good. We have coming into the new year. I had a specific heart for building up the state membership, our monthly donors. Kate alluded to that earlier. We need predictable income, we need cash flow that we can budget on. And so that's going to be the deal in addition to the typical development activities, so special projects, special events, special donors, the kinds of things that we want to bring in additional funds for the things we're doing. And that's the big thing, is going to be what are we doing? I'm sure I'm not the only one in the room who's very excited. 2020's been a bit of a year. It feels kind of like we've been in like a coma or stasis or something since our October 2019, it's been weird. So it's really fun and energizing to see how this is coming together going into the new year. How much time do I have?
6 minutes, 57 seconds.
Awesome. I'm going to go off script a little bit. The jazz musician, improvise, you know, that's what we do, you know. Because I want to piggyback on something you said earlier. Luke mentioned the culture of success. Jonathan talked about the fight for election integrity, which seems to be getting worse and worse from election cycle to election cycle. Whitney talked about the ambush and everything, these last-minute lawsuits trying to take away our ballot access. Clearly, as many races as we've covered this spring, we can expect retaliation. And forgive me if I get a little philosophical here. A civilized society under the rule of law is a luxury, it's a privilege, it's not a right. You earn it. It takes work and sacrifice to build it. It takes work and sacrifice to maintain it. So, I would like to encourage the leadership here to lead by example in your commitment to the finances of this party. It is, yeah. Party. Politics is what we do instead of fighting in the streets. And at the rate we're going, if we can't fix this, we're going to be fighting in the streets. So if you're not approaching this activity that we do here together with the same intensity that you would be approaching a neighborhood meeting to talk about how you're going to defend your neighborhood from people, then I don't think you understand the game plan. So I would like to encourage everybody. I don't know why this is really intuitive. It's just a thing. I guess somebody else can draw the line somewhere else. It seems to me that on SLEC, we ought to be operating at like a silver $25 month level, just as a baseline. I mean, that's just like, I don't even remember trying to get that at convention, but the idea of SLEC members should actually make a material financial commitment as a condition for being on SLEC. That's not part of our rules, and that's not, this isn't, it isn't specifically a guilt trip, but if you go look at okay, that's something that's between you and your conscience, so just take that for whatever it is. I would like to see more people on SLEC operating at higher levels, and so just as a pump primer, I guess, I would like to see if anybody else would join me in upping the membership today. I've already been operating at the gold $50 a month level. I took that on when I was appointed as medical director. I just figured it was the right thing to do. And if I'm going to ask all to bump your membership, I feel like I got to take my own medicine. So I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to put a matching thing on it. It's like, you know, well, I'll do that, and don't do that. You know? I'm just saying that I'm going first, and I would like some of y'all to follow.
Would you like me to give you where we stand as of right now on current monthly members at the levels? They are tracked now.
Oh, yes, I would love for you to.
All right, so as of right now, and I'm only going to be doing monthly recurring, I'm not going to be doing annual because I want to check. All right, so as of right now, we stand at 44 monthly bronze donors, 28 silver donors, 17 gold, and 2 platinum.
What are those levels?
Can you transmit those?
So bronze is $10 monthly contribution. Silver, which is 28, is at $25 monthly contribution. The 17 donors that are at gold is $50 monthly contribution or more. And then platinum is $100 monthly contribution or more. So you would be our third platinum. Maybe it's going to be my fifth.
I'm not asking for like any sympathy or anything, but I can tell you that my family will be reminding me tonight that this is give to you hurts and then a little bit, give to you and then a little bit more money. This is not just like, here, let me give you, you know, this is, I'll have to explain this when I get home. If you don't think it makes a sacrifice to win elections and to be, oh, I forgot to mention that, if we don't get a substantial, as a political party, if we are not running a substantial legal game, then we don't even understand business. We should be, the work that our leaders here have been able to do, to find what sounds like a talented, on-point attorney who's willing to do great things to help this party. If we don't jump on that and then let that be the start of something beautiful and powerful, then we're in, I don't even know what we're doing. So.
And that was something that I railed on, if you don't mind me, like, because you and I have had lots and lots of conversations about membership and funds and what we need to do in order to become a legitimate party here in Texas and to actually show like we are one. And that, like, that's part of it. Not only do we have to maintain what we have in an election year and what we gain, but we need to build on top of it. And I'm very much looking forward to that because you'll see in the 2021 proposed budget, we are going to be aggressive, and we need to be aggressive, but it takes money. And y'all show up, but again, I'm going to go back to my classic line that I did get from Inspired by Alden was, y'all need to put out.
Okay, I hope I didn't do it. If anybody else wants to come on in, the water's fine. Or you can talk your way down. Oh, wait.
Do that. Are you ready? I will start at $50.
Wonderful.
Yeah, time for questions. I guess we do identify the one second going on. Luke? Oh, wait. No, never mind.
Time has expired on this item. Are there any objections to hearing from Luke Foxall from Chambers County and Gallup?
Okay, I'll make it quick. Andrew, what do you need from the body and the party to help facilitate your office better based off of what we had in 2019 and 2018?
What I need is the Marine Corps has a discretion, every Marine life, everybody knows how to shoot one. And we're going to have that culture of success that you talk about. Everybody needs to be a fundraiser. Everybody, like, in other words, I don't know that I specifically need a lot of assistance to do what I do, but what I need is for SLEC members to be donating. I need SLEC members to be talking with their county chairs about fundraising. I need county chairs to be talking with their members about their memberships and why aren't they supporting the party financially as well as, you know, showing up during markets and like what are we doing here? Are we fighting to win? Are we fighting to take political power away from a ruling elite that doesn't want us to have any? And the more we look like we might actually be a viable threat, the more we're going to feel the heat of that. Or are we just arguing with our other sort of malcontent, misfit friends outside the circle about how we would run things if we were in trouble? We can do it. Maybe some of that. But yeah, but basically everybody are you giving? Are you asking other people to give? Are you building membership? Are you recruiting people with the understanding? As a political party, there's one is what we can do here, but as far as requiring financial, but it's like you get involved. You're going to join, then join as a supporting member. Well, we call sustaining members too. Now, I'd like to do that, but as a supporter, let's do this. Because again, the part where we get together in our counties, talk about current events and stuff like that, that's all good for what it is, but we aren't succeeding in any mission until we're winning. We're winning elections, we're getting legislation passed, we're thwarting attempts to take away what little scraps we already get off the table,
I think that's a great point. I've actually been, so this is the county chair for Oasis County, and I'm the vice chair, but we've been working along with Lou, actually talking about fundraising, and I think an important start of it is the county parties starting out and then progressively moving towards after that, and after holding conventions, right, and holding the meetings, and then starting to work towards donations and membership building. And I've been working with Luke and Adam, and I have been working with them, but it's reaching out to them, even the county board and even wants, and we need to be doing that, because we can't do donating, and we can't donate, and we can't fundraise until we get to that level of membership to be able to, reach out.
Well, I just want to say, the county's, been active in Washington County, and I'm sucked into all this. And, I think that Luke and I have been having some points about how to distinguish, and somebody mentioned it earlier about it's kind of confusing having these different levels, and well, I already paid money to the LP. Yeah, but that was national. We need money to state too, and it gets a little weird. Nothing we can do about that. But maybe in our county we have finance. We have a bank account. We got people that give to the county, so we can do county stuff. A lot of pop-ups, a couple of chairs we move, and we do volunteer stuff in our community. And that's one of the ways you can create awareness. Is by being active in your county, go out and do stuff. I mean, and raise funds at your local county level to make an impact in your county level. But then always be aware that at the state level, we're operating a political machine. I hope y'all are looking forward this spring to be involved in the lobbying efforts in the session. How that's going to work under the circumstances, I don't know. But we've got to have, so that when Tarrant County has a problem and they need legal backup, we're back. That's how that works, and we got to have fun.
Thank you. And comparison to those numbers that I had earlier, the numbers that I gave were for the end of October. So those are our current numbers. In January, we started out at 16 bronze, we're at 44. 15 silver, we're at 28. 9 gold, we're at 17. And obviously 0 platinum, and of course now we're going to be looking at 6 at the end of the day.
All right, your next department.
Yeah,
Hello, friends. Everybody doing all right? We're enjoying our accommodations here at the hotel?
Yes.
I really like this. This is a great venue. They've been really cooperative and worked well with us. And I like being on the river. Welcome to my hometown, New Braunfels, Texas. We welcome you. Thank you for coming. Randy Sembro, hometown as well. Homeboy. So yes, just thinking about today, some of you have asked me, I didn't get to do any housekeeping, so I'll take a little time here to do it. There is no official lunch planned for the day, so you're free to go. There's some really cool venues here, double shots, I recommend them. They're here around the corner. There's a Creekside right away. If you know where Buc-ee's is, most of the Texans do. You just go right up to Buc-ee's, and there's some big shopping and some areas there to grab food. We also have a Cooper's barbecue, that's a favorite for Texans, and a Blast barbecue. I recommend those places. So, but you guys got Google and Google Hangouts and whatever you want to do. Tonight, also for tonight's event, there is an early check-in available to you guys. Some of you guys got your list, I'll just reiterate. If you would like to check in right now, you can see today, and you'll get one of these handy Wonder Woman SLEC bracelets. This is what you're wearing. Very well. Yeah, you'll need one of these to get in, so check in early so you don't have to check in at the door. Flash your handy bracelet, you can let right here for tonight. So there's that. Let's talk about future select meetings. Thank you guys for funding today's meeting. That was very nice of you. Was it Monday? Thank you guys. Somebody didn't realize that's what you were doing. You funded today's meeting. It's going to run us about $600 or so. A little bit more expensive than what we used to spending. I think I worked with Kate on the budget, but I typically spend about $400 and something a meeting for select events. It's changed. We spent a little bit more today. However, in this greater scope of things, if you look at the money that came in with this after-hours event, this Joe Jorgensen event that we coupled with it, the net sort of, the P&L report way ahead of what we would normally do. So typically, where a select meeting would be a strict cost of doing business for us, which we accept, about for it, we budget that, and we'll see that the select events are typically a cost center for us. We are, we, the events department officers, are trying to flip that script a bit and turn our select events and our gatherings into an actual generation of revenue for us. So that at the end, we have the right guests, as you can see with Joe Jorgensen, pop ticket, $189 a pop to get in over. We might not see that kind of price point for future events, but for this one, I'm considering this one a hot ticket. People want to hang out with her. We priced it right, we did it right, we ran the numbers, we took a little bit of a gamble and believed that we could sell out the venue, and we did. Trying to get in, so you know, if you have the right assessment of the guests and the venue and what you're trying to accomplish, you can price the tickets right. And I want to see this type of after-hours event at all of our gatherings. Now, it might not be $189, the next one might be $20 to get in, who knows? It might be a lunch, it might be a dinner, we'll see what that looks like. And we're gonna be committed to making sure that when you look at this budget today, and you say, okay, Tim, you know, and Kate's gonna handle that, or hey, Tim is asking for this much to spend on Select. Understand that I'm not going to accept a cost center for us to do business. And I agree with every other department's head that has said this, especially Mr. Hamilton. We are not, I refuse to be part of something where we get together and we vote on how to spend other people's money, and we don't have skin in the game here. Try to become the executive committee of Google without spending money. Try to not buy into a major entity. The Republican Party, last I checked, has a $13 million budget. 13 million. You look at that $100,000, I think we're doing all right. How are we going to fight a $13 million budget? No, we need to have skin in the game here, and I agree. I want to throw my support to that, and I am going to follow the silver gold today. I've been silver for a long time, so I'm old school silver. I think it was back then, it was like more. I know it's 50, because like it's this, you know, I'll jump back up to that. So there's that. So future select meetings, I just want to cover that. I'm looking at Bastrop for our next meeting. Working with them, we actually kind of checked out Bastrop recently, looking at something for the next convention. Not really, just looking around. Probably going to look at Dallas for 2022. That's what I'm looking at Dallas Fort Worth for 2022. But we're not going to talk about that today. Just let you guys know. We're out there. We're checking out their convention center. I'm looking at Fredericksburg is building a brand new one. Kerr is building one. So I'm in communication with these big venues. We're looking at Bastrop for this next one, possibly South Padre Island for the winter. And we're back up to Dallas when the weather warms up Dallas area. Okay, so this one coming up, we're looking at Bastrop, so kind of start thinking about going back this way again with the next one. But just want all of those of you that all trying to say you're wondering, hey, can we have these closer to me? Talk to me. I am thinking about you. I had a conversation with you just this morning when we were getting connected. Like, hey, I'm aware that we haven't been to Dallas in a minute as an official event. And all of our official events is what so talk to me, and if you want to get an official event on the books, coordinate with me, talk with me as well. I'm going to yield my time because I'm up right before lunch. I believe I'm hungry. Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, if someone wants to present a venue for a select meeting in their area, you know, like they live in Bastrop and want to present it for, you know, whatever. What are the requirements and the expectations? What would they, if, you know, just wherever they are in Texas, what would they need to give you to say, hey, this is an option? You know, what are the requirements? What are they expecting of us? What justifies it as a viable option for a select meeting moving forward for other people to just say, hey, how about here in my name?
It's a great question. We have an RFP, request for proposal, for all of our select meetings for this year, and for the next couple of cycles. So they have to meet those requirements first. The RFP stipulates the type of venue it needs to be, what our requirements are, what our expectations are in the venue. So if you're wanting to do something like that, let me know. I'll get you that RFP. I think it lives on tonight. So you should be able to go tonight and get our current RFP. If you want to send that to venues, go ahead. And have them, my contact information is on there. So when you send the RFP to them, they're going to respond to me, and I'll have a point contact us, and we can continue to assess the venues. So, Commissioner, you got it? Yes, sir.
Yep. Oh, for consideration for the next convention, there's a new convention center that's opening next week in Round Rock called the Kalahari, across from Del Diamond. It's like a water park in the big convention center. It's humongous. It takes up this massive property. Since they're just opening, might be a good way to get a good deal. They're opening up just like, even though it was kind of, it was awarded as the National Convention for Marriott in Austin, they got this really great deal because they signed up like right as they were opening. And so maybe the same could be done for the Kalahari.
Okay. Yeah, we also have an RFP for the state convention as well. So I think that's also on the night. We can send it, so feel free to access that, send it to venues, and they can start bidding for our business, because that's what we want to see. We want them bidding for our business, yeah? Instead of us going hand in hand to it, that never works out right. So we'll get the RFPs out there, it's on Ignite, you can read and pull it down, send it to venues, convention centers, whatever you want. My contact info is on, and I'll be able to work to start sorting it out in anticipation of 2022. So now we're looking really sexy today, I can tell you all that. Hey, Sherman. All right. Anyone else? All right, thank you guys.
Our lunch break, which is 12 minutes, about 11 minutes early. So we'll be back here at 1:24.
It's 1:30.